Now, if you're off work at the moment because your employer has been forced to shut down, the chances are they'll now be applying to the government to pay 80% of your wages. This is the furlough scheme that we've heard so much about. But it's not that simple for everyone. We've got a lot of small businesses in the southwest, and many owners and sole traders are concerned they're falling through the gaps in the government's support schemes. With more, here's Hamish Marshall.
It's sink or swim time. 800 babies a month attend Water Babies classes in Cornwall and South Devon, which employs 11 people. It's operated by Kate Evans as a limited company. In what is standard and legal practice, she's paid a small salary with dividends. The furlough scheme only applies to the salary income.
We're not asking for big amounts of money. It would be similar to the same as the self-employed are getting, that there's a cap on it, and that would be completely fair and right to have a cap on it. I've paid all my tax, I pay my VAT, I pay my corporation tax, I pay my employers and my employees' national insurance contributions. We follow the rules set by the government.
Wanderlust Live trades on its North Devon routes. 12 staff make and sell jewellery, but trade is reduced by more than 70%. Workers have been furloughed. Like Kate Evans, founder and director Georgie Roberts is paid a small salary. Furlough would give her less than £800 a month, and she couldn't do any work. And she fears that would put the business and jobs at risk.
My worry is for the people that work for me, but kind of once we've established what was available for them, I kind of thought, I don't actually know if there's any help for me as an individual. And then as the information kind of was given out by the government, I realised that I wasn't really going to be getting the same kind of help that perhaps employees would be getting.
If you look at the end of some big TV shows, you'd see the name Chris Yakubian. He's based in West Cornwall, and like many people in his industry, he's been hit hard. The government's help schemes will see him have just a fraction of his normal earnings.
And it feels really crass to be talking about money, but at the same time, I have got to look to the future and keep my family fed. And the only way I can do that is to keep my business running and keep working. And I feel like my hands are being tied together.
A range of businesses tell me they're scared about government loans as well, because one day they'll have to be paid back. And this is a part of the world with a high proportion of small businesses. Hamish Marshall, BBC Spotlight.
Well, Cornwall Chamber of Commerce has written to all of the county's MPs to highlight this issue. Their chief executive is Kim Conchie, who's with me now. Give us some context here. What sort of role do the people we've just heard about play in the southwest economy?
Well, they play an incredibly important part. I mean, there are 26,000 VAT-registered businesses in Cornwall alone, and a further 35,000 sole traders and micro-businesses operating below the VAT threshold. And they can be everything from global consultancies operating from home to one-person window cleaning business or ice cream van. So they're absolutely embedded in Cornwall and, of course, the southwest communities. And I've written to the MPs to just sort of point out that. I'm sure they know that. But I would like to see the MPs across the whole of the southwest operating with one voice to just make this clear to government that in the southwest these are slightly above the national average, the number of small and micro businesses, and they are absolutely essential to the correct functioning of our region.
Writing to MPs, of course, is an important way of getting the message across, but on a practical level, what are you doing as a chamber to help these people? You've got a network of people, you're talking to businesses all the time, so what are you doing to help on a practical level?
Well, I'm talking to hundreds of businesses at the moment, often distraught business people who are like the previous report, like Hamish was saying, falling between the gaps because they're paying themselves dividend or paying themselves back out of directors' loans that they've made to the company, or their rate is above, they're paying the rates above the level which is eligible for a refund and this sort of thing. So there are thousands, and I know that the government didn't want to exclude these people. It made policy on the hoof, and we were grateful for that it did that so quickly. And of course, there's these little pockets of people falling between the stools. So what I'm working with those people is to say, look, Cornwall Council, your local authority, whether that be Devon Council or whatever, didn't mean to exclude you. It was just policy made on the hoof that you've fallen between the gaps. So let's work together, find somebody rather than a computer who can say yes to you, and let's work together. So I'm lobbying on their behalf, usually on individual companies' behalves, to, in my case, Cornwall Council, to just try and raise the issue. There's another a little cluster of companies which are subtenants in multi-occupancy buildings, and they also have never paid rates on their own, so are not eligible for the rate rebate. So there's quite a few pockets that really need our holding hand to sort of get them through this this conundrum.
And very briefly, once they get through this current crisis, what are they telling you about their hopes and aspirations for the longer term?
Well, we're working with them to see what a staged recovery might look like, because in the survey that the LEP Working Party did, thousands have only got reserves for a week or for a month. So we're hoping that we can see an end to this and a staged recovery as we come out of this this lockdown. I'm hoping that local businesses will absolutely be supported by everybody in the community. So I think we need to get back to a place where we're supporting local businesses, buying from each other, making sure we can accelerate out of this trough as quickly as possible. And I think one thing which might emerge from this is that the 20th century problem that Cornwall had was it was a long way from markets and it took a long time to get anywhere. In the internet era, that's not a problem. And now we've established in this crisis, working remotely and working from home is absolutely acceptable. And I think the Southwest will come into its own as a wonderful place to work and live. And hopefully that sort of remote working thing will mean we come out of this stronger and have a global presence as well as the strong network locally.
We're out of time, I'm afraid, but Kim Conchie, thank you very much indeed for joining us. So are there any signs that the government may tweak the scheme further? Our political editor, Martin Oates, is here. What have they been telling you, Martin?
Well, on this central issue of people paying themselves through dividends, the government says the basic problem is it's very difficult through the taxation system to distinguish between dividends from a director's company profits and dividends from somewhere else completely, like a share portfolio, for instance. There is some indication this could be a moving situation. The small business minister said he'd like to go to the Chancellor and propose a solution. The Chancellor himself has said he's listening, but so far, no change. I'm certainly picking up a lot of cross-party support from the region's MPs for people in this position. Simon Jupp, Conservative MP for East Devon, for instance, told me today companies' directors' incomes are as varied as the businesses in East Devon, and he's suggesting a degree of flexibility. Both the Plymouth Labour MP, Luke Pollard, and Anne-Marie Morris, Newton Abbott's Conservative MP, echoing the point made at the top of Hamish's package that these are business people, entrepreneurs who've ordered their business affairs in a perfectly proper way, supported by the government, who now deserve support at this time, and they want the Chancellor to look at this again.
OK, Martin, thank you very much. Well, for some people, missing out on the furlough scheme comes with even more issues. Some seasonal workers on the Isles of Scilly are unable to access the funds